Hey, this is the Coffin is Alive YouTube channel. I look at comic books new and old. Today I'm looking at a new comic book. This is X-Men number 35 that just came out this week. I got the Scott Koblish wraparound cover. This is such a cool cover. I was not passing this one up. It's a four-part connecting cover, actually. So there's going to be three more connecting covers that are released on some of the X-Men titles coming up. Those are going to be hard to find. So I'm just happy I got this one. It's really cool. It's got one of my favorite mutants, Mimic, on there. It's got, all the Marvel superheroes are on here. All the X-Men. Tons of characters. Um, just really, really cool stuff. This is the final issue of this volume of X-Men. In the Krakoa era here, and this is going to be the end of the Krakoa era. This is an 80-page comic book, so it was $9.99 new off the shelf. It's got multiple writers, multiple artists. It's got Jerry Dugan, Al Ewing, Kieran Gillen on writers, and then we've got multiple artists here. Joshua Cassara, Phil Noto, Lucas Warnick, Lionel Francis Yu, Walter Simonson, Mark Brooks, John Romita Jr., Scott Hanna, Jerome Opeña, Luciano Vecchio, Stefano Caselli, and Sarah Pichelli. All got pages in this book. So we'll start here. Joshua Cassara is on art in the first story here, the first part here. And he's definitely one of my favorite artists right now. Just got a super fun, rigid, slightly realistic style. And this starts off almost like a scene from an X-Men movie or something, as this transport vehicles are going down this back forest road, and suddenly they get stopped by some tracks and tire tracks here in the road, planted there most likely by Logan, and he jumps into action. Really cool page here as he slices into this truck here as he's trying to get at Professor Xavier, who has handed himself over to the authorities. So, really cool page here of Xavier just stuck here in his cell, and all around him we get all these little sound effects. Blam, blam, sneak, aye, run, blam, blam. So, screech, scrunk, skirk. So Wolverine cuts his way into the cell. Hello, Chuck. Definitely a Shining reference there. That's pretty hilarious. And Wolverine's just going to murder Xavier. He's had enough of him. But he gets the pink power, display around him here. But it's Magneto. He's holding him back. He says, his life is not yours to end, Logan. And Xavier says, would you excuse us, Logan? I'd like to talk to my old friend. And Magneto just shoves him away. Wolverine goes flying. Magneto takes Xavier to somewhere where they can go talk. We get a new artist here. I think this is Phil Noto. I'm not sure. Pretty sure it's Phil Noto. So we get Xavier and Magneto having their little chat. We see Toad here, who I thought he got killed off in the Sabretooth War. But here he is. He's in the pit, I guess. Some odd continuity errors there, I'd say. But Xavier just wants Magneto to admit that Xavier was right. But as they're talking, Xavier, who still has his powers, he's still a psychic, which is why he's got all these machines attached to his head. They're trying to dampen his powers and keep him controlled. But he senses something is going on at Krakoa. Something wonderful, he says. Then we get Cypher here, who's meeting up with Kafka, who's a member of the Arakko Quiet Council, Um, and they've been killed, basically. All the mutants from Genosha were killed, and I thought Cypher was killed too. I don't know how he's here, but basically, this guy's explaining that they've been stuck in the White Hot Room, all the killed mutants, and they've been creating their own society there, basically their own Krakoan society. And time moves differently in the White Hot Room, so while only a few months have passed here, a few weeks on our Earth, for them, 15 years have gone by, and they've been creating their own perfect mutant society. And essentially, um, Kafka is letting some of the mutants stay here on Earth, the ones that want to, but most of them are going to go back with him and Krakoa, and they're going to start their own Krakoa nation in the White Hot Room, essentially. So I think that's what I've gathered what's going on here. It's all very convoluted and complicated, but um, essentially this Kafka guy is just preaching to all of the X-Men about how their life works, how it's so much better. And honestly, he just drones on, and it gets really preachy. And as he tells Exodus that they're going to go back to the White Hot Room and not stay here on Earth, and Exodus isn't going to have any of that. And Kafka says, this is the kind of thing this kind of thing is exactly why we're leaving. And right as he's about to just take his ball and go home with all the mutants, we get Apocalypse showing up here. We get a new artist here. I think this is Lucas Warnick page here. So all of a sudden we get Exodus trying to fight, this Kafka guy, but Apocalypse shows up and he starts fighting Exodus. It's all very childish, honestly. Apocalypse just smashes Exodus right into the ground, just beats the hell out of him. At first here I thought he killed him, and but he doesn't. We see Exodus a little bit later. So Apocalypse is here. He says, "Show me what my children have built." So he wants to know from Kafka, what they've built in the past 15 years. And Kafka continues to just preach and tell him what's going on here and how much better life is. He's preaching to Apocalypse of all people, which honestly, not too smart. Not too smart at all. We get the Lineal Francis Yu pages here, which is one of the highlights of this book, honestly, is seeing him draw some pages again. He's basically just been drawing covers, it seems like, for the past couple of years, after having a pretty solid run on Captain America and X-Men. But so I'm glad to see Lineal Francis Yu on some pages here. And it's a good one, as Apocalypse just picks up Kafka and smashes him right into the ground, which I was hoping someone would do that, because I was getting really sick of hearing him drone on. And Apocalypse is just like, my ideas were not radical enough. I was far too lenient. So now there will be pain. And we get Armor here and some of the other X-Men. The Secret X-Men, I think, is who this is. And they start attacking Apocalypse, but they're really no match for him. Richter's trying to reason with Apocalypse, as he used to be one of Apocalypse's horsemen. Doesn't work. Kafka was not killed. He's trying to also reason with Apocalypse still. And we get a great page here of the X-Men attacking Apocalypse. We get, there's Armor there, Iceman, Colossus. There's Deadpool. Exodus is still there, so he's up. Gambit's here. There's Richter. I think that's Frenzy. Archangel's still around. I thought he got killed off. I don't even know what he's doing here. I thought he got killed off in the Dark X-Men. I don't know. So many books. Sometimes you miss a little panel here and there that will explain, why someone is where they are when you think they're dead or whatever. So we get, I think this is Joshua Cassara again, back on art. Doom sees that Krakoa is rebuilding itself, and he tells Volta, one of his mutants, to go and get a seed from Krakoa, but don't let anyone see you. She goes down there, but one young mutant does see her. She teleports back up, and Doom says, "Were you seen?" She says, "Not even by the island," and she gives the seed to him. So she's lying to Doom there. Then we get a couple really cool splash pages. This is by Walter Simonson. I think this is his only contribution to this book, but it's pretty awesome. Kind of a callback to his old X Factor run, where he's got the Beast, Cyclops, Iceman attacking Apocalypse, and there's Angel too, Archangel. So it's like the old X Factor team fighting Apocalypse. You got Walter Simonson drawing it. This is a really cool page. We got Sunfire here attacking Apocalypse as well. I'm not sure who the artist is here. Not sure. John Romita Jr., though, this is no mistaking his style. Colossus gets a shot in on Apocalypse. Let me go back to Phil Noto on art here. I'm not a big fan of his style, really. He did some work on the Dark Web X-Men series that I did kind of like, but generally, I find his art to just be kind of vacant. Doesn't do a lot of backgrounds, and just very simple drawings. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I don't want to get too negative on it. Storm confronts Apocalypse now, and we get a big battle here. This is some really cool art. I'm not sure who this is. It might be Mark Brooks. We get a battle between Wolverine, Deadpool, and Apocalypse, which is pretty cool. Wolverine puts his claws right through Apocalypse's head. And Apocalypse just takes him out and starts causing Wolverine to stab himself. Nightcrawler gets involved, though, and just does one of the craziest things I've ever seen in an X-Men comic. He grabs Apocalypse's eyes and then just teleports Apocalypse's eyes right out of his head. And Apocalypse is just like, I fought in darkness for longer than you could imagine. No big deal. And so Nightcrawler teleports to where he teleported Wolverine, and he says, "I've got his eyeballs." And then we get back to Apocalypse here. Finally gets confronted by the White Queen, but she also is no match for an eyeless Apocalypse here. He throws her away, but as soon as he does that, we get Phoenix showing up here. And they're able to successfully show Apocalypse through mental telepathy that, there's 15 millions of mutants that are alive and thriving, and they convince Apocalypse that without him, they never could have gotten to this moment. So that causes Apocalypse to retreat, finally. And it says over the next 24 hours, things were less eventful. So here at the end of Krakoa, we're actually getting a rebuilt Krakoa, except it's leaving Earth and going to the White Hot Room. So essentially the writers have said Krakoa is not going to exist on Earth. Mutants are going to be hated and feared again. But Krakoa is still going to exist, so if we ever want to go back to stories on Krakoa, we can. So anyone who was sad that the Krakoa era is leaving, don't worry. It still exists, and I'm sure they'll probably go back to it. And this is a really cool panel here, as a really cool page, I should say. We get all the X-Men lined up, kind of a final shot here of all the X-Men. And it says, "A dream that was for a moment real and shone with the infinite love and care as it shifted beyond dreams and into higher reality. And what does that look like? What does it look like when a dream moves on without you?" That's a pretty nice line here. And so here's Krakoa. So ended the first Krakoa age, and all the X-Men down here on the bottom of the page, looking up at this Krakoa as it ascends into a higher reality, essentially. And that's the end of the main story. And we get a bunch of backup stories here. Apocalypse, he's back on Arakko. And he's asked by his minion here, like, what's next? And he says, perhaps it's time to pass such questions on to another. Perhaps I should choose an error. So there is a comic coming out called The Era of Apocalypse. I think it comes out next week. So we'll find out who Apocalypse's new chosen one is going to be. Then we get Mother Righteous. She's in the Orchis cell, and she gets confronted by Dr. Stasis. And they were lovers, as you may or may not know. But then it's revealed it's not Dr. Stasis. It's just Mystique getting her final revenge on Mother Righteous for having her kill Destiny. Cool page here. I like this. This is really, really nice looking art. We get a little scroll from Professor X here. I have founded this school in service of a dream. Yes, mutants are hated today, but this need not be. Until that day, we will strive to be paragons to protect this world, no matter what they think of us. I believe in time, all will come to see us as we truly are, not what they fear us to be. And we get Professor X here in his cell that's been created. We're told it's been created by Reed Richards and Iron Man, and basically, all the heroes, they're trying to keep Xavier prisoned. So nothing like this can ever happen again, essentially, where things just get so out of control and off the rails. But we see things kind of going back to how they used to be. We get mutants who are going to be hated by humans, and this human's got like a cybernetic implant, so he's like part of Orchis, or aligned with Orchis politically. And he's got mankind written on his forehead, which is just so stupid. And he's going to kill this poor mutant girl, but Professor X, who still does have his powers, stops this guy from doing it. And basically hypnotizes him and walks him up to the top of a building. And I don't know if he's just showing the guy that he's way up high and could kill him, or if he's actually going to make the guy jump. We don't really find out. But Xavier says, if you have to choose to be loved or feared, choose to be feared. It's more reliable. I never got that choice. I only had one option. To be hated and feared in a world I love that does not love me back. We'll make the best of it. So that's pretty much the end. And then we get a backup story here, written by Chris Claremont and Salvador Larroca's on art. It's basically a family reunion between Irene and Kurt and Rogue and Mystique, who are all now, family, essentially. We've learned that Kurt and Rogue are half brother and half sister, and Irene and Mystique, who are married, it's their kids, basically. So this is just a family bonding story as Kurt's trying to deal with the fact that he was basically abandoned by his parents. And he says he doesn't trust them, and they have to earn his trust. And that's what this whole story is about. We get another backup story here with Professor X, who goes and psychically is checking on all of his mutants. And so this is basically a preview of all the future X titles here. We get the X-Men who are going to be in Alaska. Rogue and Gambit, they're on their honeymoon in Louisiana. And we get to Chicago, where Kate Pryde is a bartender. And Wolverine, he's doing Wolverine things up in Canada. I really love that face on Wolverine there. Really cool face. And, all the mutants are just doing their thing. So Xavier essentially is, proud of his mutants. And he says he wonders, have I made the right choice? Will my people survive, thrive, excel in spite of my great sin? And Phoenix, she says, you're asking me? And at that exact time, Phoenix is saving an entire galaxy, millions of people. And so Xavier says, I think I have my answer. That essentially everything's going to be all right. And Xavier says goodbye. And he says it's time for restitution. And the humans who have Xavier captured, they realize that he's like dead. His vitals have gone away. So um, we get this Dr. Ellis, who's going to be the new X-Men villain here. Get a little preview of what she's going through here. And they're transferring Xavier to another facility. And as they're doing that, one of the guards says, "Trust me, pal, I worked in the coma wing at Mount Sinai, and that guy ain't waking up." And right as he says that, Xavier's eyes open. So we get the preview here for the new X-Men. Jed MacKay, Gail Simone, Javier Garron is the artist. And a preview of some of the other X-Men books that are going to be coming out soon. So that's it for this issue. X-Men number 35. This was a big important issue. The end of the Krakoa era. I don't know. What can you say about it? It's sad to see it go. Excited to see what they're going to do next. If you've made it this far, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. I got daily comic reviews coming, and every day I post. So stick around, and I'll see you on the next one.